talking about understanding NTFS file system. We have touched a little bit on that. We're going to go deeper. We're also going to look at how NTFS allows us to compress files and to encrypt files. This is, stay with me, NTFS feature. This is a feature of NTFS file system. We're going to also look at third-party tools for compression and encryption. So we're going to look at tools that do the same thing that NTFS does, but they're third-party tools. And they're usually more powerful, more functional. But we've got to understand, CompTIA is going to expect you to understand that your NTFS file system can compress files and encrypt files. Then we're going to understand, we're going to look at the idea of compression. Compression falls under two basic families. What we call lossless compression, and then we have lossy compression. So we want to broach those ideas, and our goal here is to get us to at least a 3. So hopefully by the end of this, we will now understand a little bit better the NTFS file system. We will be introduced to the NTFS, how it compresses, how does NTFS encrypt, and then we'll understand lossless and lossy compression, and then finally we're going to look at some third-party tools for compression and encryption. Okay, so that's our goal, is to get a good feel of this. NTFS is not simple. When we start diving into NTFS, there is a great website. That's it. This is a very nice website. It's actually done by a backup company. They do it as a service. Let's go there. I'm going to click on it. It's called ntfs.com. It is actually hosted by a company that does backup and recovery software. But what is so nice about this is it provides a lot of great information about the structure of NTFS, how it works, a lot of details that are well described and well articulated on this webpage. So if you want to learn more about NTFS, this is a great place to go. And notice, this is also where they also get into things like GPT, the GUID partition table, master boot record partition table, some hard drive basics, SMART. SMART is the tool that helps us determine whether the hard drive is good or not. So a lot of great stuff on this website. I encourage you to go there. It's well worth for you to do that. All right, so let's take a look at NTFS. What does NTFS mean? When NTFS was presented by Microsoft, it's a proprietary file system developed by Microsoft. There are reverse engineered mounting tools. In other words, they're legal reverse engineered. Remember, reverse engineered is a legal concept as long as it will stand the test of a court challenge. So just because it's reverse engineered doesn't mean it will stand a court challenge. But many reverse engineered technologies do stand a court challenge, and they are legal, even though they reverse engineered. So NTFS is simply New Technology File System. That's what it is. It has many features. So let's talk about some of the features of NTFS. It's very scalable. Now, the values, its theoretical maximums are much larger than what are on this document. But its practical limits are about right now, as it stands, about 256 terabytes, practically. The theoretical limitations of NTFS are exabytes. So if you want to go to Wikipedia and look at what exabyte is, it's big. The theoretical or practical maximum file size is about the same as the volume size. So big hard drives, big partitions, big file sizes are capable. Journaling is a very important feature, and I want you to star this. This is one of the most important features of NTFS. And let's talk a little bit about it. Journaling is provided by a file called $LogFile. I'm going to talk a little about, this is a meta file. This file right here is one of many, many files in NTFS that you cannot see, but they are stored on your hard disk. They begin with the character $, so they are invisible, and the only person who looks at those files is the Windows operating system. But you have many meta files, like this log file, that are put on your hard drive that NTFS uses to manage the file system. This is very, very important. For example, what does journaling mean? Let's say that Shelton is going to copy a file from one hard disk to another. So he selects the file and he chooses the copy command. He points to the destination and he says, go ahead and copy it. Before the copy begins, a journal is entered into this log file. And it says, okay, Shelton is copying this file from this location to this location. So the copy process then begins. What happened first? Before the copy process happened, what did we first do? Journal. We journaled the event. Right in the middle of the copy process, Shelton's little brother runs through the house, grabs his computer power cord, and jerks it out of the wall outlet. Is Shelton excited? Okay? Of course he is. He loves his little brother. So he's always excited to have his copy process disposed by someone pulling out the power plug. What is so cool about journalism is when he plugs his machine back in, boots up, NTFS goes back to this log. It says, let's see, we were at copying this process over. Let's see, Shelton wanted this file copied to this file. It goes and looks at those locations and said, it didn't happen. So it goes back and does what? Makes that happen. That is a lifesaver in a server scenario, in any type scenario. That can save you. So it adds a resiliency to the file system that is extremely important. Has everybody got it? That is very, very important. You need to understand journalism. There are many other features, and I'm going to just name them. I am not going into them, but I will make these are some additional features that are in your NTFS file system called hard links, alternate data streams. In fact, this one's of extreme interest because right now, malware or virus writers are taking advantage of this feature right here to hide their viruses. So one of the trends that are happening right now is some viruses are actually taking advantage of this feature, which is very difficult to deal with, and they're actually hiding their viruses with alternate data streams. So things like reparse points, transactions, sparse files, volume shadow copy, I'm just mentioning them. CompTIA is not going to ask you about them, but as you get into Server 2012, all of that is going to come back. Yes? Yes. Yeah, you're going to see it again. Another feature of NTFS is compression. NTFS can compress files, and it uses this algorithm right here. It can encrypt files using the Encrypting file system, EFS. This is built in. When you buy Windows, you get it. You don't have to do anything to it. Now, if you go out into our lab and you try to encrypt your file or a folder, you will find that you cannot do it. But if you go home, you can. One of the things that we do when you put your computer on a domain is we restrict your rights to encrypt files. Shelton is a new employee, but he's doing bad things on the job. So we bring Shelton in, and I'm picking on him. We bring him into the office and I say, Shelton, if I see you surfing during work time one more time, we're going to have to let you go. Yes? Shelton rolls his eyes, looks to the sky, walks back out, and sure enough, what's he doing?
Surfing again.
He's surfing the web, and I tell him, at the end of the day, I'm going to cut your check and you're going to be gone. So Shelton goes to he's responsible for a number of documents. He writes mouse clicks and says, let me encrypt them all. And at the end of the day, we write his checks, and out the door he goes. Well, we try to get on his computer. Of course, we don't have his password. And his files are encrypted with his logon. Guess what? We can't get to them. How many want to bet that's happened before?
Yeah.
So now, this is why in a domain, the domain administrator generally sets out a group policy, and he says, you can't use EFS on a domain unless we allow it. Okay? Now at home, I'm going to show you how to use this, and you're going to be able to do this at home. But just remember, you better create a way of unencrypting your data. We can also set quotas. You need to understand you can set quotas. You can also resize volumes. I can shrink my partition and I can expand my partition. My hands are going different than my words. Shrink. Great. Okay. Shrink my partition and expand my partition. This started with Windows Vista, and it is still true today. So this is a great ability. If I need to expand my volume, I need more space, you can do it with NTFS. And then last of all, Ntfs Permissions, which is what we have up here, where I can say, I'm going to add Shelton here, and I'm going to say deny. So that's going to restrict Shelton from the access of this document right here. He will not be able to access that. Yes? So this is what we call Ntfs Permissions, and you're going to spend some time learning about that also. I'll make sure I pick on somebody else. All right, so let's go. I'm going to open up a folder here, and I'm going to show you how to compress. I'm going to go to my documents, and everyone notice that most of the files shown in my documents are what color? All right, this was hard. Most of the files in my documents folder are what color?
Yellow. Black.
What color?
Black. Cold.
This was a trick question, okay? They're black. But do you see one that is a different color?
Blue.
That is compressed. Anytime NTFS compresses a file or a folder, it will change the color from black to what?
Blue.
So let's take a look. So I'm going to take a file. I'm going to take this video. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to go down to Properties. I'm going to pull it up. Go to Advanced. And everyone see my compression ability. So I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to apply as it works on that. I did have to choose a 194 megabyte file. Let's see, it's working out. There it goes. Took it just a minute. Did it change color?
Yes.
So that is a CompTIA
question.
Yes, you will see that on your CompTIA exam. So you need to know when I compress a file, the file color changes to
Blue.
yes. Now you'll notice if I try to encrypt. This is another CompTIA question. So let's say I decide I want to encrypt this file. This is an MP4 file. Right mouse click, go to Properties, go to Advanced. Is the ability to encrypt? Yep, I can check that box. Watch what happens. Of course, I chose another big file. I should get an error message in a minute because this computer is on a domain and OCPS domain policy does not allow. I think I need to let me hit the apply. I thought I did. Yep. I want to encrypt the file in its parent folders. Everyone see that? So, yep. Well, in this case, I just want to encrypt the file. Everyone see that? So there is a group policy that the domain administrator down at OCPS said, I don't want Shelton encrypting his files and then walking out and leaving all his files encrypted. So because a recovery system has not been set up on the domain, should Shelton encrypt his files and walk out, we cannot unencrypt those files. We're not going to let you encrypt. Yes? But you can do this at home. You can encrypt your flash drives. You can encrypt your flash drives. And as long as you log on, you can unencrypt your data. So this is NTFS. Let me show you here. When I encrypt a file, and if you'll notice what page I'm on, what happens to the color of the document?
It's green.
So, green and blue are colors you need to know for the CompT exam. When it's green, it is what? Encrypted with the encrypted file system, EFS. If it's blue, it is what? It is compressed. Now, my question to you is this. Can I compress and encrypt at the same time?
I'm gonna say yes, I was gonna ask you that question.
Did I have both options there?
Yeah.
Yes. So here's the CompT answer. You need to know this. You cannot encrypt and compress with NTFS at the same time. That is a CompT question.
So you one or the other?
You can do one or the other with NTFS. You cannot do one. Remember I talked about metafiles that that the operating system. So I want you to look up here real carefully. The NTFS file system has many hidden files. One of them is called the $MFT. This is the master file table. This is the key master volume that indexes all of your files and structures on the NTFS partition. You also have a mirror of this. So this is a duplicate of this. So $MFT mirror is a duplicate of your MFT table. If you lose one, NTFS can use the other to try to find files and folders. You have a log file. We've already talked about that. That is your journaling. These are all files. Listen, these files are all on your hard drive. Look at this one. Anyone ever remember this one right there? Take a look. Have we talked about that?
Yes.
Yes. What is that? That's your boot what? That's your boot record, and it's always inside the C partition. So it's called $boot, and it is a file on your hard drive, and it's actually your boot sector. Okay. Many people call it boot record. Some call it boot sector. We're all talking about the same thing. Also, notice this file. It's called $bad CUS, bad cluster. If NTFS finds a cluster that is bad on your hard drive, it will mark it as a bad sector, and NTFS will not use it. This is a way of protecting your data on a disk. This is not unusual. This happens all the time. NTFS will find a cluster that is bad, and it will mark it, and NTFS will not use it. Okay? So these are various files, and they all start with the character of what? So all of these files are on the hard drive. They are not viewable by you. You do not get to see them. But Microsoft has a utility. Everyone see it? There is a utility that you can download from Microsoft. It is called NFI.exe. It's a free tool from Microsoft that allows you to look at a disk and see your master file table, the mirror master file table, the log file, all of these hidden files that NTFS uses to manage your file system. Okay? So there is a way to look at these files, but generally you have to download that tool in order to do it. let me leave you with this, because these are very complex. When we talk about file systems, I just want to leave with you very emphatically, these are very complicated systems. We are only touching the surface. We're talking about it in respect to basic understanding so that you can master the CompTIA exam and other basic concepts. So the heart of the NTFS is called the master file table. There's two of them. One is a mirrored file, one is a master file, and the design of a master file table is all about this right here. Very fast access. So when we read our master file table, you can quickly find the file, yes, that you need and open it, or write to it, or save. So the master file table is designed for speed. Designed for speed, and it's very, very powerful in that it can recover. All right, hang on, because we're going to dive a little bit deep. In the master file table, listen carefully, the master file table views folders and files as a set of what? Let's talk about it just real quickly. We're not going to go much further than this. In an MFT record, there are certain attributes that are called resident. In other words, if the information about the file is small enough, it will fit inside the MFT record. If the information about the file or folder is too large, it is considered a non-resident attribute. The MFT can find that information, but it is not stored in an MFT record. Okay? So every time you save a file, there are many attributes of that file. Let me show you. I showed you once. You didn't get it because I could just see your eyes rolling. I want you to look over here. I've got Explorer open. I'm going to right mouse click, and everyone see the check that I've put on here? Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to More. And remember the other day I did a video and I just kind of walked you through the attributes? This is all metadata that I can store about a folder or a file. All of this information. So for every folder or file, I can store, along with the file, a tremendous amount of information about the file, yes? This is called metadata. So if there's too much, it will not fit in the MFT record. Then it's called non-resident. If it's small enough, if there's only a little bit of information that is saved with the file, then it will be stored in the record in the MFT. Everybody got it? So we have non-resident and resident attributes. Let me give you an example. How many have used docx, the photo tool? So the rest of you have never used a camera in your life. Your mom never let you have a camera. Okay. All right, so you guys need to ask mom, please, mom, give me a camera. I need to learn, okay? So does anyone know the kind of information that is now stored by a camera into every photo that you take? Help me. Give me some.
Location, time, date, always geographical location. Where
Yes.
you at,
Yes, GPS
time.
information.
Yeah.
Also, if you have a face recognition, it's the names of the people. It's just there too.
Who owns the camera? The model of the camera? Yes? It's for you that never got a camera. Your mommy just wouldn't let you have a camera. All of that information is stored now in the graphic file. That's the information I'm talking about. That's called metadata. It's not the picture, it's the data that is added to the file that gives you information about where you were when you took the photo. Today, you have to be careful with that, because if you're taking personal photos and you're posting them in Instagram or some of these sites, it can actually reveal where you were, what time you were, everything about you. That could be a privacy issue. So there are even tools today that take that metadata out.
Or an alibi.
So I'm sorry?
It could be an alibi.
It could be the alibi. Here is the police officer. Yes, it could be your alibi. It could be the evidence for the crime. Yes? Not that any of you are going to do crimes. Okay? We're not doing crimes.
So that,
Except Jose. I don't know about him. But you need to understand that even Word documents and pictures are including vast amounts of metadata in addition to the text that you type in, the graphics you add, etc. Is everybody there? This is very important. You as an IT pro need to be very, very aware of it. So many, many attributes. So the MFT will save this information in the MFT record if it will fit. If it fits, it's called resident attributes. If there's too much information, then it's going to be non-resident. It still can find it, but it's not going to be stored in the MFT record.
question, when we talk about metadata, if we take one of those pictures that has all that information on it,
Yes.
and we transfer it to our computer to look at it, can we go in and turn those attributes off for metadata?
Yes. Yes, in fact, that's what Explorer, that's exactly what I was showing you in Explorer. If you are a photographer, you may want to have, look at all those attributes.
Right.
A 35 millimeter focal length. How many knew that that was in your picture? So if you're a photographer or a video person, there is a ton of information about the photograph. Just amazing. You just go through here. Exposure time, yes? It's just amazing the information that can be saved about a photo, a video, music, who is the author, what track, how long. Are you getting it? So this is all attribute information that can be saved about your file as well as the file itself.
Is there software out to where you can alter that data?
There are tools that allow you to strip it out. There are probably tools that can hack it. I'm sure that there are tools that can hack metadata. But for example, if Shelton decides to go on a vacation, he's going to post all his photos to Instagram. He really doesn't want where he was. He just wants to put his pictures. So he may run a metadata stripping tool that rips all that out of the photos, then puts it into a cloud, yes, cloud, so that his family can see, but his privacy is still retained. Yes? Everybody there?
Yes.
This is becoming a big deal. I've given you some information. This is stuff that will put you to sleep. Can't sleep at night? Turn to page 4. Yes? Okay, turn to page 4. You'll be asleep very, very quickly. But I encourage you to look at it. We talked really quickly about Ntfs Compression. It uses the LZNT1 algorithm. It's a lossless, listen, I want you to underline this, circle it. Anytime we are saving data in a compressed format, it will always be lossless. We'll get into that. So, now listen, Microsoft recommends avoiding compression on server systems. You can compress your entire flash drive. Listen, look it up. Look at it. You can save a lot of money without having to buy more flash drives and external hard drives. Just compress your whole flash drive. It will give you more room, give you more space, because you're compressing the file smaller. Anytime you plug it into a computer, it's transparent to you, it opens up fine. So a good idea with your flash drives is compress them. Right mouse click the entire flash drive and say, compress. And it'll compress all the files in your flash drive, and it'll actually give you more space. So compression is a very cool tool. Now, one last, compression does have a what? It will impact your performance. But listen to me, most of you have dual core, quad core, 6 core. Is that really going to be a big issue?
No.
No. So it does have a performance hit, but most of your systems today are so powerful, it's not a big issue. So when I see blue colored files, they are compressed. Got it. You're going to pass the CompTIA.
Mr. B?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that compression you shouldn't use on a server system.
Yes.
Why is that?
Typically, you're putting a server system for speed. You're looking for the highest speed, so they don't recommend you compress it. Can you? Yes, you can. Yes. EFS, again, very fast encryption system. It is controlled by what? Group policies by your what?
Administrator.
OCPS does not allow us to use EFS. Okay, if you try it, it'll say, eh. If Shelton goes home, guess what? He can do it. He can do it. Remember, when you encrypt your files, you must create a recovery agent. So if you lose your logon, you have to scrub your computer, you can at least recover your files. So be very, very careful about EFS. What's the CompTIA hint?
You cannot encrypt and compress with NTFS at the same time.
You cannot encrypt with NTFS. Now, notice, I'm talking about with what? NTFS will not do both at the same time.